What's going on, everybody? This is Token Gaijin here with your scrub play of the day here in Heart of the Swarm Scrubcraft. And today we're going to be bringing you a 2v2 with my boy Deathwraith.
What's up?
And we're going to be against the double Protoss, Admiral Drello, and Damon. Ooh, Damon's. That reminds me of that restaurant back where we used to live. Man, that thing closed down. It was very depressing. But I'm going to be going very standard. And now, we knew going into this map, very importantly, we were very close to Gold League already. Well, we were the other day. I don't know anymore because a lot of people are out of the Swarm. But new going in, very, very popular still is the double Protoss Stalker Rush. So we need to get that scouting out. Very important. Make sure anytime you see two people that are the same race to look at them, because I don't know what it is, but different races, they can rush, but it feels like it's kind of like 60% of the time when you have the same race, like duel of the same race, they just go the same thing and rush. So I don't know if you've noticed that either, but just in 2v2.
On occasion, and the thing, in a previous match, there were some Platinum Protoss players that just kept blinking up the hills, killing off our bases, blinking back, losing nothing, and we were like, oh god, not again.
So we were making sure to scout out as fast as possible. As you can see, my scout's coming a little later. Deathwraith's poking in, checking out that Protoss. And since we both, the great thing about us is since we both play Protoss and I play Zerg, but since we both play Protoss, we both generally have a decent understanding of how Protoss builds work, which is kind of putting us in an advantage, I think, is just our knowledge.
Yeah, we see here that the first Protoss, at least my probe is discerning, that he's getting his gas relatively late.
And here's me scouting, and this is the important one right here. Double gateways, no cyber core. He's going double gateway, and he hasn't gotten his gas yet, so we know that he's going for more zealots than he is that. And I'm going to ensure it by being a giant ass dick and stealing that gas.
Yeah, at that point I see, two gateways. I'm kind of a little bit afraid. Generally, when you see two gateways before a cyber core, you're seeing a lot of zealots, like a zealot rush.
Exactly.
But when I see this going down, I'm like, he's not going to have very many stalkers at all.
And that is good for one unit in particular.
At this point, I had been going 2 gateway into a cybernetics core, which is a very standard build. But as soon as I see that, I'm like, he won't be able to fight off anti-air. Oracles it is.
Yep. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make a hit with Oracles because Oracles are amazing harass. Great thing to take note of in 2v2. One of you has to do harassment. Sometimes it's me. If we have a double Terran wall off, because Terran like to build those missile turrets and those Marines can travel very quickly, usually I am the one doing the harass with Banelings and Speedlings, and Deathwraith spends his time teching up. But against Protoss, we found that Protoss are weak against their own Oracles, and we like to use that to our advantage. And as you can see, I'm already expanding. We already know that they're kind of doing standard stuff, and we know that because I also have that Extractor getting some nice scouting in. So I know he's not really pushing a very fast army, so I'm going to just be safe. It's a very long run distance. So I'm going to take my natural and just start expanding because Zerg, rule of thumb, if you can, have one more base at all times than your opponent. So I'm going for that second base and just droning up and getting out Banelings because I want to make sure we trap them in this base. And I'm going to be using Speedling and Baneling to scare them into this trench because this trench is great for defense, but this also, this little kind of like walkway right here in the base is also very detrimental if your opponents use it against you, and that's exactly what we're going to do with Banelings. But since we don't have very good scouting at the moment, we don't know if they're going to go for that early hit off that 2 gateway. I get out that Spine Crawler for added defense just in case the Zealots are coming. And as you can see, Deathwraith also getting pylons in place just so that he can block this entrance if need be.
And I'm chrono boosting out the
Oracle
at this point. And I'm, of course, going to go for the red opponent because he was the one doing double gateway. If we take a look over at him right now, he does not have Warp Gate Tech in and only 1 Stalker. So you'll see here in just a little moment that the hit will prove rather devastating.
Yeah. Make sure you're always poking out. Now, the biggest major theme I could say about this game that you're also going to see is that the thing that's going to save us in the end, you also see, is economic advantage. Economy is everything, because remember, Starcraft is mostly just a giant capitalist game. Game of capitalists. The one with more funds
and
is the
here
one
we go.
who wins.
Going in to see what I can do here.
Poking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 probes down already. 7.
I know I can't fight them.
And out.
An
7
Oracle's a
probes.
pure harassment unit.
Actually, let's take a look at that. Units lost tab. 7 probes already. 7 probes for 1 Oracle, and we've only lost 1 unit each, those being our scouts. So right now, Deathwraith... Oh, I lost an extractor too. So right now, he's already lost 350 resources, and we are just trooping. And you can see the Oracles piling up over here for Deathwraith. What's your thinking about this? Why are you going over here now?
Because I know that I figure the red Protoss is going to overproduce Stalkers and prepare. Now over here, I'm needing some Stalker resistance, but I know that since I have 3 Oracles, I can take that on. Now the blue Protoss makes an excellent move here and uses the Photon Overcharge. I end up losing 1 Oracle to this and retreating, but I still am able to kill many of his probes.
And to those of you who might not have watched our last game or unfamiliar with the unit because Heart of the Swarm is newer, Photon Overcharge is a unit brought from the Mothership Core. And as you can see also, Deathwraith is also dropping 2 things right there.
Yep.
Racks.
At this point, I've decided, you know, they're probably going to counter this with the standard Protoss counter of a Stalker, especially since they started with 4 gateway type builds. So I decide, you know, I've kind of overstayed my welcome with the Oracles. I'm going to go ahead and drop these robotics facilities and get some Immortals, which absolutely trash Stalkers.
And as you can see, I'm making a hit right here because we want to keep this map in control. We want to keep them afraid in their base. So I got some Speedlings out. Going to go poke out, see what's up. I go in. I see only a couple Zealots at first. I'm like, I might be able to take it, might be able to take it. And then I start realizing maybe a little bit too much for me to chew off. I've did enough damage, killed enough Zealots, and I'm going to back out. And as you can see, I've still only lost 14 units, but economically, I am still very much in the clear. Not as much as you thought.
The Oracles.
Yep.
We used this hit in order to distract them away because I knew they were going to try and move their entire army to engage the Zerglings.
And as you can see,
the Oracles and killed off some more.
As you can see right there, look how many drones he does. He's lacking on his main base. His second's not very much up there. The red player is already hurting. Oracle's going back. You only had 2 at that point too, so I don't think you lost one either. Yep, you haven't lost one. You've only lost 2 units total. 1 Oracle and a probe. So for all of this damage that Deathwraith has done, look how much economically in the whole blue is. I haven't killed a single unit for blue. 750 minerals to his 350, and he's only lost 2 units compared to his 10, and he's also taken out a huge chunk of Red's units as well, up to 24. I don't know if I've taken out a couple, so not all of those are his, but still, just the devastating amount of damage you're able to do for this is just, it's such cost effective. And I've already got my Speedlings out here, getting ready to make sure to cover all of these bases. You can see me pointing down here at the mini map at the left hand corner.
And hey, Token,
gotta check those bases.
One thing we didn't notice this entire time, since we saw only gateway units, is the amount of observers they have on the field.
I will say this is a props to them. I don't know why they didn't use more of their scouting information, but yeah, they do have amazing scouting. We have decent scouting because we're able to pop in with our hits and just get a general sense of what's going on, but their scouting is superb. They've got Oracles everywhere.
Oh, it's a good thing they don't have Oracles everywhere. They do
not Oracles, observers, excuse me. Freudian slip. As you can see, I'm getting ready to get my 3rd. Deathwraith has got his 3rd already on the way down. But I'm getting ready to...
At this point, I'm just basically massing up troops because I'm expecting them to get frustrated, not want to play this defensive game anymore, and come in with a hit. Now, at this point...
You're going to see this... The Oracles, he's getting ready to hit. The reason why I'm holding off on this base is because I'm going to do a Baneling hit first.
One thing that we're getting much better at is doing a 2-pronged attack. If we all come at the same time, all they have to do is focus on one point.
And divide and conquer.
The Zerglings and then the Oracles. And I believe I get a little too impatient here and jump the gun with the Oracles.
Yeah, you do. But it's good because he moves Blue's army, which is exactly what I need, which is kind of nice. As you can see right here. Trying to get that pylon out. He gets the pylon out, so it's going for those probes. And as you can see right here, as that's going on, my Banelings and Speedlings come to hit red.
I did not notice with the AI of the Oracle. Ways to be attacked.
Yep. And just look at me going. Getting these probes. I want to make sure I get all the probes down that I can. Doing some base damage. Not as much as I'd like to do. And I'm going to get this, going to get that damn guy out of there. Boom. Just keep hitting, keep hitting, keep hitting. And now I am...
Of course, at this point,
now I am...
decided that I'm going to go hit red with these oracles. Except I forgot about them.
Now, the biggest thing you're also going to take note is that Baneling hit was very costly. I will say it did not go off as well as I would have liked. I am now the lowest in amount of loss. I'm the highest in loss. Excuse me, not the lowest. But you have to remember, Zerglings, 92. Generally speaking, when you're counting the losses when you're only using Zerglings, you kind of have to just divide it by 2. Because in reality, I haven't lost, if 50 minerals, like when you're assessing costs is what I'm trying to say. When you're assessing costs, I really haven't lost that many units. It looks like a lot, but that's because you build 2 Zerglings per pack. So for 50 minerals, you're basically getting 2. Don't you shoot! Yep. And look at that military that Deathwraith has. Now look at these force fields. Stop my Zerglings, but they screw him when fighting these Immortals. Those Immortals just able to get such great range and shielding from the Zealots themselves. Look at that. Oh, so beautiful.
Taken out my Immortals were his Zealots, but the force field stopped the Zealots from moving.
Yep, and the great thing is they don't have Blink, so those Immortals are just going to get such dominating range on them.
They have the same range as the Stalker, but instead of the Stalker doing 10 damage to their hardened shields, the Immortals deal 50 back to the Stalker.
Now, going back to me very, very quickly, because there's something very important. As you Deathwraith getting his 3rd down rather quickly, I'm going to start saturating out. Reason why I'm not as fast to get my 3rd down is this. We're going for a Mega Tech Switch, a very big gamble. Now, what I said in some of my previous games, if you've been watching them, is Infestation Pits are more useful than they used to be. Not only do they unlock the ability to get Tier 3, but also you can get Swarm Hosts with Locusts, but also Infestors. And I got that down originally thinking I was going to go for the Swarm Hosts, but we want to keep that map control up, and I just want to get something to tank for Deathwraith's army. There's going to be popping out those Immortals and Kalos, so I'm going Ultralist. So I got my Hive Tech down right after my Infestation Pit. My Ultralist Den is already down, and I'm getting that awesome, awesome plating.
Hug machine.
Oh, yeah. And
now, the reason I was hoping that, or rather asking and praying that he would go for Ultralisks as he did, was those force fields gave them a much-needed advantage in that particular engagement earlier. Now, what those Ultralisks will do is massive units break force fields. You'll see in the upcoming battle, although it does not go in our favor, the force fields are useless, as the Ultralisks just stomp all over them.
Now, the Ultralists do, unfortunately, you'll see they have another unit that's I don't know, they don't have them yet. They're going to have them in a minute or two. They built another unit that my Ultralists, I was trying to micro them to the forces, but my Ultralists were just being retarded and not listening to me. And you're going to see just exactly what I mean. Ultralists are very effective.
Blinded by the need to hug.
Yes, they wanted to hug something that was out of their reach, literally. And as you can see, my Ultras look very fiery in me, and that's because we have an awesome little camouflage.
Yes, at this point, that's right. I decided I'm going to try the Oracles yet again. One thing that I always had problems with DTs or Warp Prism things is that I would do it once and then I would stop. This time I'm trying to make sure that I keep it up.
And you've been doing a very good job of it, too.
At this point, we don't have nearly as much vision as we would like, and if you observe our bases, they have observers seeing everything.
Yeah, and they're not. I mean, you can see they're starting to build against it, like with the Tempest and things. But still, they know I have Ultralists. They really aren't countering it on the ground game. The only thing they have really is these Tempests to deal with it, and really, Deathwraith still has the Stalkers, things like that. So, all in all, Tempests were a good call, but they could have been doing a little bit more.
And you'll see Red here. He's got so many photon cannons. Relying on the photon cannons instead of the Immortals.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 15. Not smart at all.
You're looking at about...
That's 900 mineral.
There.
Oh, it was 900. Maybe I'm bad at math.
7 times 15 is 70 plus 7 times 5 is 35. And
so 900 and so 950 minerals.
Something like that. Yay, math.
I think that's right. Maybe I'm retarded. If I'm retarded, please let me know.
Yeah, give us a little message.
In the comments box below, be like, hey, math skills, sir.
You need has math, sir. And at this point, I'm still assuming they have a lot of stalkers, but I want these colossi in there just to add some range, and I don't like zealots.
Oh, he's only actually built 5 cannons. Some of them were pylons, so he's only wasted about 750.
But they're kind of doing exactly as we want them to, which is staying right in these 2 little happy bases of theirs. Now the big hit's coming here, and I'll let Token moderate that one.
Yep, I will, because I just realized that if he had built those extra cannons, my math was so wrong, it's sad. But here we go. I'm gonna put my Ultralisk in the front, trying to tank that damage. That's the main purpose. I'm wanting to tank that damage, get into those stalkers. Nom 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 nom. I just want hugs. I just want those hugs. And those Tempests are really fucking me over because my Ultras really want to get them. Couple Ultras going for his base, but I'm trying to move them around to help Deathwraith's army, and really they're bottlenecking us extremely effectively.
You see here, I know at this point we can't win the engagement because we don't have anything that can attack air effectively. I have a couple of stalkers, but what I want to do right now is cause the most amount of damage as possible because I know we have an economic advantage. We can come back with a greater force, whereas they come.
Yep.
Yeah, and then of course, the Tempests would normally do 30 damage. It's hard to kill the Immortals just laugh it off.
Right. And we noticed at this point the Immortals are doing more damage, so I'm going to send my Ultralisk in to sacrifice them for the greater good of the Immortals, because 2 Ultralisks are expensive, but these Immortals, if you count them up, that's a lot more economically, so I want to make sure that those escape.
And they do a fair bit of damage before they go.
Yeah, they
now, with
do.
These Immortals, I decide I don't really want the other Protoss to have a base, so yeah, I'm going to go make it disappear.
Gonna end it. And as you can see, I'm
now,
getting
at this point,
my 4th down.
We've both decided those Tempests are a big problem. So once again, we're going to do a heavy tech switch. It's a little easier for me since I already have down the Stargates. I'm pumping out Void Rays. Token's pumping out a mass of Corruptors. It's just a bad day for a Tempest.
Actually, I haven't even got the Corruptors out. As you can see, I am hard econing into my next base. My main is nearly completely depleted. I just only have a couple not even much Vespian left. About 100 per extractor. And as you can see, I am getting down 1 Spire, and I'm going to get down a second one in a second, and then replace the drone in my gas. Reason being that I'm getting 2 Spires is very simple. I have Hive tech out. And the thing about Zerg you have to remember is this. Zerg can tech switch like mad. Like mad. Use that to your advantage. I have lost a ton of minerals, and I need to make sure that I'm keeping tech switching, because we don't know if they're going to keep doing Tempest. They might tech switch again. So I'm going with the initial idea for Corruptors, and I can keep one, just a regular Hive, and get upgrades on it. But I'm going to drop a second one down so I can get Broodlords out, so that way I can tech up my Corruptors and all of my Air Forces, all whilst also getting the Broodlord tech out. It's all about teching efficiently. 2 Spires allows me more options. I'm allowed to get that Broodlord technology while also continuing to tech up my Air Forces, because you want teched up units. Now my gas is depleted. I'm doing a really bad job catching it. Got a lot of just drones just kind of chilling here, not doing anything. Really need to move them out.
At this point, if you know that Admiral Drelo has this base over here.
Yep.
And one thing I would like to point out is he's dropped 3 Stargates here and only has 13 drones on 2 bases. Neither of which, oh no, excuse me, one of them is mining gas. He can't actually afford to produce out of all 3 of those.
No.
And you see he's starting to commit to voids because with their superior scouting, they know that we're attempting to counter the Tempests with Air Forces. However, as Token said before, we have such a supreme economic advantage that we can pump out almost twice.
Oh yeah, look at it. Blue lost his second base. He's literally only over-mined off of 1 base. He's still stuck. He hasn't expanded again. Same goes for red. And look at this. I'm mining off of 3 bases. I have a 4 total. Ultralisk going in for the hugs.
we decide that we don't want red to have that base, and if you can see the devastation that is this force, Void Rays, Colossi, Stalkers, Immortals, Ultralisks, Corruptors, there's very little one can throw at that to actually kill it.
Yep, and as you can see, I get some more Ultralisks, keep pumping out. I need to make sure to mind, the thing with my army is you have to remember, I can't re-up very fast. Reason being is my army is extremely expensive. Ultralisks are no joke. They basically cost a base and then some to build. So they are extremely expensive, and plus Corruptors are also extremely expensive as well. So my army is probably the most ridiculous thing right now to produce, and it's why I'm a little behind. But here we go in. My first thought is get that corruption down, kill those stupid Tempests. Exactly what I'm going for.
And I flip up the prismatic alignment on the Void Rays. As soon as they see that the Tempests are gone, they know it's over.
Yep, Ultralisks. Yeah, without those Tempests, those Ultralisks were able to just cut through everything.
With so much health, armor upgrades, backed by Immortals and Corruptors and Stalkers, there's
right. And
there's nothing that can stop that death ball.
Well, the funny thing too about with Ultralisks as well is that a lot of people don't take into account is that the reason why my Ultralisks got chewed up. Not only did they have a ton of Immortals at first hit, which they weren't able to reproduce, but at the same time, those Tempests just were able to pick off my Ultras and nothing they could do about it. And they were picking them off. Now, with the Corruptors here and the Tempest gone, Ultralisks are just going to sit there and just give everybody the hugs they want. Just a little love. And Ultralisks, their sweep attack has been increased in this game. Not a ton, like a ludicrous amount, but it's noticeable. I am kind of annoyed that they took out the Ultralisk's Burrow move ability, but still their attack upgrade is rather substantial. It's kind of nice. I never used Ultralisk really before Heart of the Swarm. I never really used them in Wings of the Liberty just because they weren't really that effective when compared to other tactics such as Infestors or things like that. But man alive, they are super useful again.
The thing that was the detriment of Ultralisks was their attack did 15 damage, but then 25 more against armored units, which basically made them only an armored unit counter. What they did was they got rid of that bonus damage to armored and just said, hey, they do 35 damage flat. Which, as you saw earlier, can munch through Zealots really quickly. And at this point, if you click on one of the Ultralisks, you can see he has 2 upgrades into melee. They're doing 41 damage quicker than a second. And that's a lot of damage. Plus, you look over at the armor. 4 armor. So when Stalkers are shooting them and saying, haha, you know, we get +4 damage against armor, that +4 damage is completely mitigated.
Plus, another thing you got to remember is even though do I have 4? No, I only have level 2 armor, but it's because of the upgrade, the Carapace upgrade that you get off of the Ultralisk Den. If I had gotten the last armor, I think it's a total, what, is it 6 or is it 8 for Ultralisks with full upgrades?
I believe can get up to 5.
Is it just only 5? Never mind.
It's
I thought
5.
It was higher. I thought it was higher.
Battlecruiser is the highest one and can get up to 6 armor total.
6 armor. But Ultralisks still with 5 armor is ridiculous because remember their health. Look at that. It's just all health. That's all they are. But that is...
You'll notice another thing that I was kind of priding myself in this particular match on is that I remembered to tech. If you see all of my ground units have full tech.
Yeah, let's see a look.
The Colossi is doing 21 damage times 2. So basically, Colossi is doing 1 more damage than the Ultralisk at 9 range.
Yep. Ultralisks are best known for tanks, but it's their sweep damage that makes them effective.
And, you know, of course, when you saw all those Stalkers that they had in there, the Immortal now with the upgrades that I have is doing 65 damage a shot, which means if we click over to this Stalker, it will kill them in 2 hits.
Powerful stuff. Now, the biggest thing we want you to take from this is my creep highway isn't very good. I've been trying to work on my creep highway, as you can see, kind of get one off in the mid game. You really want to notice that when you're playing as a Zerg, and also we'll have Deathwraith close on brotoss, but when you're playing on a big map like this, when you have the ability to expand, the biggest thing for Zerg, and just anyone in 2v2, is expansions. You need an economic advantage. Zerg like to have 2 bases up, and 4v4 you can afford to not have a base up on your opponent. but we did have a lot more economically than they did. But the biggest thing you have to take note for Zerg, especially in these big maps, is you have to take into note the terrain and getting the map control with Zerg. The thing about Zerg is Zerg need to have the mobility to deal with everything. They need to be able to expand without worry. Speedlings are such an essential part of Heart of the Swarm now. I mean, they are essential in Wings of Liberty, but the reason why I say that is because Zerg have a lot of units that can be upgraded for speed. I mean, Hydralisks now have a speed upgrade. They're really, really fast, really nice. But also we get those mobile emplacements such as the Locust from the Swarm Host, and we also get Infestors. So a lot of great stuff coming out. I really highly implore any Zerg player who hasn't tried it out, hasn't done this build before, to do Speedling, maybe into Baneling, or just Speedling into Infestor, because the Infestation Pit is just so useful in this game. You can do so much. And it was very pivotal in the last game, but now you have two major reasons to build into it. And as you can see, just with Speedlings and Banelings alone, you're able to do some menacing stuff.
And what I took to be the most important from this particular, the things that we learned from this particular match is, first off, you know, do some kind of harass them. Gain map control that way. We didn't do so good on scouting, which is one thing we can work on, but our economy was good. We out expanded our opponents, and the key, the absolute key, and this has been a problem of mine for time eternal, is what I would normally do in a game like this is, I've built oracles, I went Stargate, so now I can only produce Stargate units. Wrong. We transitioned. We were one step ahead of them. When I went in with the oracles, I'm like, okay. Make stalkers to counter that. So I pumped immortals. And then Token, of course, had, some zerglings and things like that to just basically go in there and do away at the stalkers. And again, when they went with those Tempests, we didn't decide, let's remax on an Ultra Colossi Immortal army and go in there and die again. We switched to Corruptors and Voids. We countered appropriately, and I think that was probably the best part of this match.
No, and that's the biggest thing. Remember to tech switch effectively. Like I said before, if you have the economy like I did, I double spired. And you can even go bound here to the map, and you can even see I'm trying to mutate into a greater spire, all whilst upgrading my Corruptors that I got off the tech switch. You need to make sure you're making wise decisions like that. When you have an economy that can push out effectively and make very, very, very big just changes on a fly, do it. Because you have to remember, when you're at the end game, when you have to tech switch at the end game, you need to make sure that whatever you're tech switching into as well also has prepped upgrades. If you don't have those upgrades, you need to prep them. Because your opponent, if they keep building what they are and you're building to counter what they have, they're already going to have upgrades into them, so they're already going to have a jump on you. Especially, we're at the 30-minute mark almost at the end of this game. So when you're getting, past 20 minutes, you need to make sure upgrades are so key that if you aren't on them, you are going to lose.
Actually, let's take a look. Yes. The red Protoss has 1 shield and 1 attack. And the blue Protoss has no remaining units that I can check this on. That's a lie. He has probes. He has 2 armor and 1 shield. Which, of course, I have 3/3. So whereas his immortals are taking 1 less shield damage and dealing 22 damage to regular and 55 to armor, mine are taking 4 less damage as far as armor, 3 less damage as far as shields, deal 26 damage, and deal 65 damage versus armor.
Substantial difference.
Huge difference.
Well, everyone, I hope you take a lot from this game. This is probably one of our better games, one of the ones I had more fun with. And the funny thing is, we had scouting, but they had better scouting, and that just goes to show you. Use the scouting data you get effectively. They had colossal scouting. They had better scouting than us easily the entire game. But the funny thing is we did smarter things with our scouting. We didn't have the best scouting in the world, but we adapted, and that's what you need to do. You need to use your scouting to your advantage. Because it's not just a numbers game. It's an economic game. This is a capitalist society. And the one with the money is going to win. Hands down. So make sure you're taking code of that. But also, spend it wisely, because any bad investment will just destroy you.
All right, I bet that just wraps it up.
Yes, it does. Keep it locked to Token Gaijin Game. We're going to be bringing you a lot more Heart of the Swarm as it comes, a lot of upgrades. Keep it locked to our channel as well, because we're also going to be trying to get out webcam shows in which all of us, me, Stash, and Deathwraith, talk about games that are very popular. Heart of the Swarm is going to be the first one, the biggest topic. We're going to be trying to bring that out to you sometime either later this week or early next week. And Heart of the Swarm is going to be the main topic. We're also going to be touching base on all the MMOs we'll be playing. More on that on the actual show itself. For all your Heart of the Swarm 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4 strategy needs, keep it locked to Token Gaijin Gaming. Also, we're going to start, as soon as Deathwraith gets his stuff down, we're going to start doing 1v1 strategies and also guides on Scrubcraft. And not today, or maybe in the near future, Deathwraith said he's going to try poking at Terran, so that way we can get some Terran footage out, and I might be switching to Protoss. I'm not sure. So we're going to be trying to cover a lot of stuff.
But I mean, it's of course a lot easier for me because Terran you just click buttons and you win. In my opinion, that may be my biased opinion, but
anyway, that's it for now.